You mentioned Jared Goff. I don't know that anyone in their right mind is going to trade for the Jared Goff contract as it's currently structured.
Right.
$43 million is fully guaranteed to him with limited offsets for the next 2 years. And reportedly, and not shockingly, the Rams are going to have an open competition at quarterback. I mean, everything that Sean McVay, the coach of the team, and Les Snead, the GM of the team, have said since the Rams were eliminated 2 weekends ago suggests that they are done with Jared Goff, and they would wash their hands of him if they could, but they can't. So you bring in others to compete with Goff, and you may have the highest paid backup quarterback in the history of sports if he ends up losing the job to John Wolford or Duck Hodges or Blake Bortles or someone else.
Look, I think the biggest thing with the Rams right now is they have to figure out if there's any way they can make Goff palatable to another team. I think that's their biggest job this offseason. I just don't think it's smart after you have hung him out to dry very early in the offseason to have him come to training camp and say, never mind. It's not realistic. I have no idea why, especially Les Snead this week said what he said. I mean, to me, it cuts out all your leverage, and it made no sense to me. So, to me, I think that they've dug themselves a hole, and the smartest thing for them, although you're right, Mike, it may be impossible. The smartest thing for them is to try to get rid of this contract somehow, some way, maybe by eating a bunch of it. But if I were them, that's what I'd do.
They dug the hole 2 years ago when they signed her to the contract. Now the dirt is falling back into the hole, and they're trying to scramble out of it. That's the problem. And Peter Sims and I were trying to get to the bottom of this and why this is happening. My idea was maybe Goff just got lazy and complacent. He's not working very hard, and they're just done with him. They're exasperated with him, and that's why they're calling him out and not defending him. And Sims' perspective on it is, and he could be more accurate than I am, that you get to a point where you potentially lose the locker room when you constantly defend the guy who's clearly the weak link of your team, like the Jaguars did for all those years with Blake Bortles. You get to a point where you have no credibility in the locker room because everybody else knows this guy's the problem. Why does Coach continue to kiss his butt and act like he's a great quarterback when he isn't? And maybe it's a combination of factors, but we've never seen this from Sean McVay. We've never seen this from Les Snead, and at least they're kind of acknowledging the mistake they made, but the problem is they have no path out of it. There's no easy path, and like you said, they may have to eat some of that $43 million like the Dolphins did to clear Ryan Tannehill off the roster. And isn't it ridiculous to think that they actually had to pay part of his salary 2 years ago to unload him onto the Titans? But that may be what the Rams have to do.
The other issue here, Mike, I think is that, and I really agree with Chris, and I think that's probably one of the issues. And look, I do not mean to jump on the Chicago Bears, okay? But I do think that part of, when Matt Nagy, whenever looks back at this period in his life, just my feeling is that he is going to wish that he was stronger with Ryan Pace and with team management and said at the end of 2019, we need to be merciful in all ways. I mean, it's obvious that the team doesn't believe in Trubisky, and it's obvious that he's shaky. So let's go full bore instead of scotch taping this thing with Nick Foles. Let's go full bore and go get another quarterback and start working with him right now. And to me, that is what I sense what the Rams want to do. Rather than bring back Jared Goff and watch him play the way he's played for the last 2 years, which is mostly kind of shaky, okay? Rather than watch that, let's make a clean break. And let's start over and let's train a young quarterback to be just what Washington did with Kirk Cousins. Just what the Packers did, quite honestly, with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Cousins didn't end up playing as much for Washington, obviously, but train a guy, get him ready, and have him do what you want the quarterback to do.
And I agree with that. And look, one of the biggest mistakes that NFL teams can make, or really in any area of business, is to not admit your mistakes and double down and triple down and quadruple down. So at least the Rams acknowledge that this thing needs to end. It's just not going to be the easiest thing to end it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.